This is actual Japanese military footage. 6 aircraft carriers with 400 planes sailing 200 miles north of Hawaii, undetected.
Now the British air attack in the annals of war will be carried out.
Their plan to decimate America's Pacific Fleet. Before this day, war planners and strategists acknowledged an attack like this was possible. But
they'll never do it.
Yes. To say it could happen, almost anything can happen in war. It's the most unpredictable of all human activities.
Dr. Rob Satino is a senior historian at the World War II Museum in New Orleans.
This kind of attack had never been launched before, by which I mean this kind of attack, an attack by carrier-based aircraft.
And Pearl Harbor was a target-rich environment.
The Arizona, the Nevada, the West Virginia, the Oklahoma, and the California. 5 of our 8 battleships. To lose 1 is a national catastrophe. What happened at Pearl Harbor is somewhere in the mega disaster category.
While U.S. forces had drilled for an attack, what happened that Sunday morning didn't seem real.
There were aircraft coming from every direction, and we really didn't know where they'd come from.
We are on Ford Island in Pearl Harbor with U.S. Navy historian Jim Newman.
When you talk to some of these veterans, when they saw those aircraft coming and they saw they were actually dropping bombs, they said, wow, somebody in the Army is going to get in big trouble. They're actually using live munitions.
Over loudspeakers throughout the island, the phrase was repeated, "This is not a drill."
As if you had to convince someone it was happening, because it is such a shock, such a bolt out of the blue.
Through the chaos, though, there were certain acts of courage undaunted. John Finn jumped out of a bed and manned a machine gun. Despite multiple wounds, including a busted leg and incapacitated arm, he kept firing and won the Medal of Honor. Kenneth Taylor and George Welch had enjoyed a night of revelry. Stunned awake by explosions, they sped to their fighter planes and joined a fight in which they were hopelessly outnumbered. They'd knock out 6 Japanese warplanes. Doris Miller worked in the mess hall and laundry of the West Virginia. Blacks then were not allowed combat roles, but when the attack came, and with no training, Miller fired a .50 caliber gun at incoming Japanese planes until being ordered to abandon ship. He was awarded the Navy Cross. After just 90 minutes, the U.S. Navy's proudest warships sat smoldering and sinking. Hundreds of aircraft shredded.
That is the USS Arizona Memorial. You can see turret 3 sticking up out of the water. There's still a lot of the ship that's visible, but just think about what that represents. So 2,400 sailors, soldiers, Marines, civilians, airmen are killed in the attack. 1,177 of them are the USS Arizona alone. So you're talking about 49% of the casualties or killed in action were killed on that ship.
More than 1 million people visit the Arizona Memorial every year. We visited too, in reverent silence. Time passes so quickly, it seems. History often feels so distant. Not here. The Mitchell-Washington family was there as well. Why?
Because to be able to serve is an honor, and it is not something that we should ever not recognize. To be able to serve our country is one of the highest honors.
What happened 80 years ago pushed the heretofore reluctant United States into war.
What Pearl Harbor does is take the big neutral country, the United States, and drags it into the war. You know, a couple days later, the Germans and Italians declare war on the United States. You could not have had a world at war with the United States absent from the fight, and the United States would not have come into the fight, I'm convinced, in any dramatic way without the shock of Pearl Harbor.
A date which will live in infamy.
So here on the eve of the 80th anniversary, a little history lesson, and tomorrow you're going to meet a survivor of the Pearl Harbor attack, who was on a radar station and has an absolutely remarkable story to tell.
And as you said, the number of people who can tell a firsthand account is dwindling all the time.
Rapidly.
So what a treasure that will be.
And there's still so much to learn. I just learned from that piece.
Right, exactly. And you know what? I'm sorry, but Bob Dole, may I just say, I covered him a lot through the years. An amazing sense of humor, devilishly dark sense of humor. And just a few years ago, we were with him when he toured through all the counties in Kansas. And his service, how he came back from the war, the people in Russell, Kansas, who had coffee cans out on the counters of the soda fountains in the hardware store, and the people who put money in there to make sure that he could recover. You talk about the greatest generation.
Yeah. There's a reason he could barely speak of Russell, Kansas without a tear coming to his eye.
Yes.
He never forgot it. Harry, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.